the Canadian Forces, and we like to interview him. Okay, nice to meet you. What's your name?
Abby Thomas.
Okay, nice to meet you. So, why you joined the Canadian Forces? Could you tell us the reason?
Yep, it's a chance it's an adventurous job. It has many challenges. You get a lot of responsibilities. You get a lot of hands-on experience as an electrical mechanical engineer. And it's something that I think I'm looking forward to working in the field. And
what will you do in the Navy, in the Canadian Forces?
I'm in the Army. I'm recruited as officer cadet, and my main responsibility electrical and mechanical engineering. Basically looking over fleet, traveling with fleet into the water, in the missions we get. Basically making sure that in all air wearing clothes there, means transportations are in top condition for the use of the Army.
What's the difference between your life and your new Navy life? I mean, the difference between your past and after you joined this Navy?
Past is, I think, because I'm just still in high school right now, grade 12, I'm going to graduate. And that's I'll be going into university for mechanical engineering. I think I'll be facing more challenges. And when I graduate from the university and going into the Army, a lot more challenges, a lot more decisions that I have to make on the spot, and it's going to be a lot more adventurous job than if I'd be working in an office in Toronto than to work with the military.
And what's your goal for this new life?
It's basically to climb the ladder, go from rank to rank, and just see how far I can get.
Oh yeah, so good luck for your new Navy life.
Thank you.
Here on the upper deck right now, we're going to move forward and have a look at the bridge in the ops room. I think these are surface-to-surface missiles. They have a range of about 150 kilometers. When I say surface-to-surface missiles, it means they're used against other ships. Part of those are Sea Sparrow missiles. And these are surface-to-air missile, and they're for defending the ship against an air threat, like an attack aircraft or a missile. And they're really a point defense weapon, sort of with a maximum range of about 10 kilometers. I find that most of the weapons on this ship are defensive weapons. A rigid hull inflatable boat. These, as I said, we use these for diving operations and for running around the harbor. This is sort of our utility work boat. We use it as a primary boat for boarding operations. And this is the boat that they'd be using. So we put about 12 guys into this boat and they go over and do inspections. And that's one of the major tasks that we use this for. The big black one here is our air search radar, so that's for locating aircraft. Planes has a range of about 250 miles, so it's a really powerful radar. You can see quite a long distance with it. We have navigation radars, we have systems that allow us to detect other ships' radars. We have transmitters that allow aircraft to find us, our own friendly aircraft, all kinds of things that are up on the mast there. You know, he has to go and sleep, and he has work to do in his cabin. He's got administrative work that he needs to do. So he delegates one of the officers that he deems competent to stand up here and take charge of the ship, which means that they have responsibility for the safety and the organization of the ship when he's not up here. I mean, even when he is up here, they still have charge and they still run the ship for him, and he sort of sits in his chair and works in a veto sort of capacity. But the officer that's up here that takes charge of the entire ship on behalf of the captain, it's called the officer of the watch. And you have one of them on the bridge at any given time, and then we have a second officer of the watch who's usually a trainee. We have a whole team of people up here to support them. They have naval communicators that talk on the radios for them. They have people that make all of the routine pipes, so they run the ship's routine. Because the ship runs according to a really set timetable, right? We always get up at the same time, we have breakfast at the same time, we go to cleaning stations at the same time. We run exercises during the day at the same time and go have lunch, have specific breaks and so on, and all that has to be run. It's run on a series of pipes, so somebody up here blows a whistle basically and says move to the next station. It's sort of the best equivalent for it. So 7 o'clock he knows he has to pipe wakey wakey. At 8 o'clock hands to cleaning stations. 9:30 secure cleaning stations, hands carry on with departmental work. So that whole responsibilities that he has is for navigating the ship, following the navigator's planned tracks, and also for anti-collision, which means avoiding other ships. And he uses these two tools mainly for those jobs. This is the radar. It's a navigation radar, and it basically helps the officer of the watch make decisions about anti-collision. Now everything's electronic. So we have digitized maps, charts that have a GPS overlay put on top of them, so the ship's position gets updated every second basically on this system. And it's been one of the big transitions that we've made in the Navy recently, is to go from a paper chart bridge to an electronic charted system. The ship is now steered with this little, basically a hand wheel, and the throttles are done here with two little joysticks. They're not on right now, but they're about this high. So everything is computerized, like the way that the commands are sent from the bridge is all electronically done now, not mechanically done. So the systems have become a lot smaller and a lot more sort of push button oriented, rather than the old telegraphs with the big handles and the great big, wooden steering wheel and the rest of it. So they live longer and healthier lives. On the railing, there we go. Good stuff. What? This is the operations room of the ship, and this is sort of the brains of the ship. This is where everything gets run from. It's where we really do what we go to sea for. The bridge and the engineering department and the rest of that gets us to where we need to go, so that the people that sit in this room here can do what it is that the ship's supposed to do. The way that the operations room works, there's sort of three basic warfare areas that we deal with in a ship. There's anti-submarine warfare, there's surface warfare, which means against other ships, and then there's air warfare, which means defending ourselves against air threats. And all those functions take place in the operations room. We have a group of people that sit up in the front row. They're called NCI ops, and they operate all of our sensors, like our radars that go look out and tell us what's around us, both in the air and on the surface of the water. We have electronic sensor operators who sit on the left-hand side over there, the port side of the operations room. They control the guns. They control the missiles. They also are used to make determinations on threats. So they have a piece of equipment over there that looks out and detects other ships or other aircraft's radars and give us an indication if somebody's fired a missile at us. Okay. On the starboard side, somebody was asking me about the sonar ops and the anti-submarine capability that we have on board. These guys over here do anti-submarine warfare. And so they control our active sonar, they control our passive listening sonar, which is a big microphone that we drag in the water behind us basically and listen out for other ships and for submarines. And all these different groups of people report to people in the command row. So the command row are where the officers sit back here and make tactical decisions based on the information that all these different warfare areas provide. So in this seat here you have the anti-submarine warfare director, and he's obviously controlling his team of people over here that are gathering information from the ocean about what's going on around us below the surface. Next to him is the above water warfare director, and he's gathering information about what's going on the surface of the water and in the sky, and he's making tactical decisions about that information in terms of what the ship should do. The person in charge of those two people is called the operations room officer, and he's responsible for everything that goes on in the operations room during his watch. And he sits next to the above water warfare director, and he talks directly to the captain and tells the captain what he's going to do. It's the dock, and they're called casualty clears, and they're sort of a secondary duty for them. They're members of the supply department, so when we have a casualty on board, when somebody falls down a ladder, because it happens, right? Doors swing shut and hurt people's hands or whatever the story is. We have this organization that goes out and takes care of those people, brings them back to sick bay, and then the dock stabilizes them, makes an assessment on them, decides whether or not they need to go ashore or we can treat them here on board. And then if he can treat them here on board, he does so here in sick bay, and if not, then we arrange to have them flown ashore with a helicopter or one of those kind of options.
So nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Could you tell us, the Halifax is the first warship?
The first of its class. This whole class is known as the Halifax class, and this was the first of that class that was built back in 1991. Halifax has been involved in a lot of operations. She's certainly been deployed on a number of NATO exercises around the world. She's been to the Arabian Gulf. She was the first ship in the Canadian Navy to get deployed to the Arabian Gulf after 9/11. So lots and lots of different operations and events that she's been involved in. The ship has been fairly lucky, and it hasn't had any major disasters or any major casualties or anything like that. So yeah, the ship has been quite lucky as a warship. The ship is designed to be able to handle heavy weather. It's a ship that's designed to operate in the North Atlantic, where we do experience rough seas regularly. The ship was recently on a fisheries patrol off the Grand Banks, and we saw some very heavy seas. And basically the design is that it can handle heavy weather. It's not going to tip over. It's not going to get overcome by the waves. It's designed to be able to handle that, and it does so very well. We have the ability to encrypt our communications so that only other ships with the same cryptographic material can decode what we're sending. So it is one of the capabilities that we have on board. Yeah. Well, we have all different levels that you can enter the Canadian Forces. You can come in as a technical person, or you can come in as somebody that's going to be an operator. I mean, basically the best way to find out what you need in order to come into the Canadian Forces for what you want to do is to go to a recruiting center and ask the question, about what's available for you. And there are all kinds of jobs in the technical trades, meaning electronics, engineering. All of those are available for people that are interested in that. And as you can see, the ship is really technically well developed, and that means that there are lots of opportunities for people.
So they have to.
In terms of joining the forces, I joined it to go to Royal Military College, and so I finished high school basically, and I sent in my resume. There was a number of things that they're looking for in somebody they select to do that, and I was lucky enough to be chosen to go and do that. I've been almost 14 years now, so 4 of those were at military college. Well, I'm having a great time. I'm having a fantastic time, and I'm enjoying myself. A lot of variety in what I do. Every couple of years my job changes, and I've done all kinds of different exciting things all around the world, and it's made it a really enjoyable experience. Because it's a very exciting and interesting thing to do, and there's all kinds of opportunities for people with all kinds of different interests. Regularly ships have been coming down to the Great Lakes. I know that almost every year one of our smaller vessels comes down, and over the past few years larger ships have been coming more regularly. I think the Fredericton was here last summer, and before that, I think the year before that, the Toronto, all of which are Halifax class frigates. So there has certainly been an increased amount of time that's being spent showing the ships off and explaining what we do to the Canadian public.
那现在呢，我们就是在这个 Halifax 的这个船上啊，刚刚进行了一个Halifax 的 short tour， 有相关的人员帮我们介绍它的内部构造有些什么设施，以及他们内部的一些工作人员都有什么工作的成分。那我自己呢也是了解了很多，因为之前呢对于这种战舰呢不知道他们内部是怎样一个构造，而且他们的成员之间该怎么样的配合来完成一个作战的任务，或者是海上援救的一个任务。那今天呢，我有了一个比较basic 的 knowledge。我相信更多的人呢，经过了这个 tour 呢，有更多的年轻人会很感兴趣，加入到加拿大的这个军队中、海军中，去开始他们新的人生，去开始他们充满冒险的人生。